Hello, everybody, and welcome to XPNsion Network. This is Angel River from Dallas, Texas, as you know, known in Latin America as the co-founder and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation. And before we start the show, actually, I wanted to say thank you to everyone, because in the last show, this is show 65 today, in the last show 64, I had actually literally to leave the show in the middle of it because I had an emergency. So I really thank you for all the good vibes, all the good prayers that you have sent to me, obviously including Casey and Julius and his group of entities. And why do I mention Julius and this group of entities? Because every single Thursday now for 65 weeks, we have been asking Julius and their group of entities questions. And it's the audience who asks the questions, and lucky us that even though we're starting the show a little bit early today, we already have people texting us, chatting with us. And here is Stacy Savage. I just habitually or intuitively knew you were about to start. Hey, you all, we love you too, Stacy. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I apologize for having to leave last show in the middle of the show. Everything is fine. Everything is in the right place. I am alive and kicking. And until I become 125 years young, I will be kicking butt here to everybody that allows me to, including Casey. How does that sound, Casey?
Fantastic. I say we're just reversing our age at this point, right? We're just going to keep going into our youth and vitality and our buoyancy. And of course, thankfully to our audience and our participants, we truly receive that love energy from everybody. And, that restores everything for all of us. That's all we need.
Absolutely. That's all we need. And Casey, as you know, Casey is a half nomad. So she's all over the place. And the ones that follow her on social media, you know that she's moving around, that she's having fun, and she's meeting with people, she's meeting with relatives. And the rest is history. Again, if you want to know more about Casey, go to Facebook and look for her, search for her, stalk her on Facebook, obviously the right way, okay? And, obviously, you will see how lovely her family is and everything that she has been doing lately. She already announced a few weeks ago that she was moving somewhere else. And she will keep on moving. And Stacy's saying, hope you are all doing well, and Casey, that your move is going smoothly as it can go. Thank you for everybody that is already here. We know we're a little bit early, but we wanted to have our show start early today. Okay, so let's start with the questions. And by the way, as soon as we have a question related to kids, I want to explain a story that happened to me this week, because we have a lot of questions about kids here. We have a lot of questions that we receive about AI. And I discovered just last weekend something, and I wanted to share with you, okay? But anyway, I'm going to do it whenever the time is right during our show. And by the way, as you always expect in the middle of the show, so in 25 minutes or so, we are also going to announce a special. And you will be able to actually scan the QR code to go straight to the page for the special, okay? So I'm just letting you know that there's a special. Very special, so special that's never been announced before, okay? Nothing that we are going to repeat ourselves. Okay, so the first question actually comes offline. Those questions that are being sent to support@expandwithjulius.com comes from Francesca. I love the name, Francesca, okay? I have tried a service called Focused Life Force Energy, FLFE, Focused Life Force Energy, which supposedly sends higher frequencies to a specific person or location. As many report, more energy, better sleep, and an overall better life, but it seemed to deplete and exhaust me instead. Why would that be?
Yeah.
Thank you, Francesca.
Yeah, it all has to do with your energy frequency, Master. You have to find your balance for your energy frequency field. When you are out of balance and you're working with supposedly high energy, it can be very draining and it can be very exhausting. But, our suspicion is really more that maybe it's not high frequency, maybe it's lower frequency than you are. This gets really, really interesting. Really, really, really interesting. So we're going to support, Master, that everybody is energy. Everybody is an energetic being. And when you learn to project your energy with intention, then that is something that is extremely powerful. And yes, you can project and send energy intentionally to particular people or particular locations. But your energy that you are resonating as a particular essence or your calibrated state is going to be the energy that you're going to throw. So whoever you are being in an energetic field and you're going to throw energy at somebody, that's the energy. Okay. If you are trying to raise your energy and then throw it, it's kind of like trying to throw a big heavy weight around. It's really easier to throw your calibrated state. But when you get exhausted from working with energy, it is either because your energy is low and you can't handle the impact of the high energy frequency. And so we're going to say it kind of blows energy through you. So sometimes an indicator of your energy that you're working with is too much for you is you might get diarrhea, you might get nauseous, or you might get a headache. But this can also occur when the energy is low that you're in, So the key is to calibrate your energy with the energy that you're working with, and then that's not going to be bothersome in any way, shape, or form. We say that your energy, wherever it is very, very powerful. People don't think it is. You're constantly emitting energy, and you can throw your energy anytime you want to, Master, just by visualizing it and knowing that it's going. It doesn't take any magical form to do it. It doesn't take anything that you're not actually doing. It really just takes practice. So try to stay within your own energetic field, play with your healing light, play with your projection light, always be working from love, but also, Master, work on your own energy. Make sure that your own energy calibration is up as high as it possibly can be before you start playing with energy. You're going to find out very quickly what your calibrated state is. And that is a truth, Master.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next question. It comes from Hilda B. By the way, let's say hello to Kate. Hey, Caroline. Hand pink waving. Okay, here you are. Welcome, Kate, to the Ask Julius Show in XPNsion Network. Okay, the Ask Julius Show, the show number 65. We've been 65 weeks answering your questions every single Thursday. All right, so Hilda B has the following question. How is the manipulation of timeliness? Excuse me, I reread. How is the manipulation of timelines done? Is it by saturating people with the thoughts that the manipulators desire to be demonstrated in this realm? What the motivation of manipulation of timelines is?
No, the manipulation of timelines are done with devices, Master. So they're used. The devices hold and harness plasma and magnetic fields, and they can target where timelines are vulnerable or where timeline gates and doorways are, and they throw this energy at these places and cause a movement. So people think that timelines run linear right next to each other, and they don't. They're all kind of intertwined. And so it's a rhythm that timelines run in, a sequence, a frequency, and a rhythm that keeps them running, kind of next to each other. And all you have to do is disrupt the frequency and it starts to throw them, into each other. So if you're visualizing us, watch that again. So they tend to run in a beautiful rhythm. okay, rhythm, sound waves, okay, and different manipulation with magnets, and plasma targeted hitting them from sideways can cause them to do this type of thing. So when that is taking place, you can cause chaos. You can cause chaos, and you can cause a disruption in energy projection, which can cause a variation in an outcome of a reality. So remember, manifestation is a process. And if you can disrupt that thought and emotion process by throwing a different version of people around into a turbulent arena, you can halt an outcome that can clearly be projected to take place. So when they are manipulating timelines, they're also using a system called looking glass, where they're looking ahead in time. Anything that they're looking at ahead in time is working off of a biorhythmic energetic pattern of your thoughts and emotions in any given timeline. If they want to disrupt what is projected in the future, they disrupt the timeline, causing a throw of people's thoughts and emotions, people themselves, into a whirlwind, and then the outcome does not take place. And so those that are manipulating the field don't want any joy, they don't want peace, they don't want abundance. And so they use systems where they can look into the future, and then they screw up the timelines. They can also use this as a defense mechanism, because the better system also is looking into futuristic timelines. They actually have a better system and an upgraded system, and they align timelines appropriately for a positive outcome. So when they disrupt timelines, they're trying to cause chaos so a positive outcome does not take place. And then you've got the other side pulling on aligning the systems so things do take place. But they do them with the Hadron Colliders, and they use the particle defense systems, the particle collider systems, and they also use magnetic field and lasers to disrupt timelines.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's been a really thorough and comprehensive response for something which is complex. So thank you for doing that. I really learned a lot just off this answer alone. So thank you for doing that. It's been I really have enjoyed this. I had no idea how it worked either. So here we are, by the way, the same way that sometimes we have issues. I have to say that you have an extraordinary, Casey, connection today. Extraordinary connection. So, the sound is flawless. It's flowing. Everything is going amazing. And the same thing with the lighting. So let's keep on moving on. All right. So we have a question from Stacy here. And the question from Stacy is, Julius, is the sun actually beneficial for the skin, or does it support premature aging? And what about tanning beds? Are they just human microwaves, or is there benefits? And we've been lied about those too.
Yeah. The tanning beds are microwave systems. That's a truth. Yeah, and you know that that's a truth, Master, because of the way you smell when you come out of a tanning bed. You literally are being cooked from the inside out. You smell, okay? The sun does not make you smell. The tanning lotions and the sunblock and things like that can cause you to smell, or perspiration can cause you to have an odor a little bit. But the microwave systems of the tanning beds, they literally cook you from the inside out, and it smells that way. We don't want you to be using those systems. Plus, any form of the UV lighting that they're using now is not beneficial, and they do cause a decay and a breakdown in the collagen production in your skin, which then causes a breakdown and a collapse in your elasticity, which then causes the aging and the wrinkling system. So a lot of women and a lot of people who are in their, let's say, 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s now, that have a lot of elasticity issues with their skin, is really not so much from the sun, but they were at the heightened peak of using tanning systems, because every single person did not use tanning beds appropriately. So you were taught to use them no more than once a day, and you were supposed to use them for 5 minutes and 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And everybody got multiple passes for different locations, and they way overused them because humans are programmed to believe that the little is good, a lot is better. And so it really is the tanning beds that caused the melanoma and the sun cancer issues, not the sun itself. We're going to support that the sun is a beautiful system of transferring vitamin D and supporting all the other vitamins that your body produces. Sun gazing is spectacular for you. Absorption is a wonderful thing. When you get dehydrated, when you don't have hydration going on in your skin, then you can have some collapsing of the dermal layer, and you can have some collapsing in your elasticity. So that's why people will limit some of their time just literally baking in the sun, because it causes dehydration. But the sun itself is generally very good for you, but you have to be mindful. Obviously, if you are skin sun sensitive, you're very pale, your ethnicity and your origins are going to cause, you don't want to be burned. Nobody wants to be burned. That also does damage to the dermal layer and causes the skin to collapse and lose its elasticity. So you need to be mindful. So it's great to be out in the sun for short periods of time. As you become used to the sun and the sun doesn't bother you anymore, you can do extended time. But everybody needs time out in the sun. Everybody, even babies, need to be out in the sun, maybe just for 10, 15 minutes, and then go ahead and cover them up. It really is wonderful for your immune systems, and it's really wonderful to activate and open up your pituitary and pineal glands with natural lighting.
Excellent. Thank you so much. There's a follow-up question about the timelines, by the way.
Of course there is.
And it's from actually Deline. Okay, and that's her question. Okay, and the question from Deline is: Hi everyone, smiley face. The question is: Have the timelines been manipulated recently? That's her
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah, just this last week. Just actually about 4 days ago, they were disrupted again. It's an ongoing process. Everybody in this timeline is walking in the middle of a Gettysburg Civil War field, and you have no idea. You have no idea. You might as well literally have the North and the South across a field firing ammunition at each other, and you guys are walking right down the center of it, and you have no idea. And that's what's going on behind the scenes energetically with all of you. Some of you, our production manager, Sue, she can hear it. So she hears a loud cracking noise in her home when they're messing with the timeline. She calls us, what's going on? We're like, they just shifted the timelines. So Sue's very timeline sensitive. She can actually pick up on it audiently. And so, yes, they're doing it. They're doing it a lot. There's a war going on, and everybody's walking through it.
I still remember when Sue was actually the same place that you were, and she would show up. Unfortunately, I'm afraid she's not at the same place where you are today, but we would love to see Sue and actually elaborate on that. It's amazing. It's outstanding. Thank you for sharing that, Deline. Obviously, she doesn't mind because it is what it is, and we all are very sensitive about our superpowers. And
Yeah.
that's one of them. She's an incredible being, obviously.
Yeah, and what we really want to recommend to everybody is, you're deeply affected by the timelines. Like, timelines can literally throw people into other timelines. And we've talked about this. Some people are actually swear that people in their lives have been traded out for other version. There's just no other explanation for their behavior, for what has taken place in relationships, for violence that is taking place. People are literally being traded out with other versions of themselves in other timelines, especially if they're low frequency beings. The higher frequency beings are not subject to that nearly as much. But if somebody is really of low frequency, they're just getting tossed around. These horrible versions of them are showing up, like the worst version of people in your life since around 2 years ago have really started to be thrown into these timelines. We recommend to everybody to practice earthing and grounding techniques. It's something that really keeps you connected and centered in this timeline and in this time continuum and in this moment of now. Everybody should be doing that on a regular basis. If you are a high frequency being, you're doing that all the time anyway. In fact, high frequency beings are constantly passing light and energy up and down and through their body. It's just a natural practice for them. But for those of you who aren't doing it on a regular basis, we recommend you pick up the practice, and it'll help you navigate this disruptive course. But be aware, people are being thrown around. It's like literally a tornado coming through a town, and you see the cows and you see everybody throwing around, and we just don't know how and where everybody is landing. And there has been some very, very, very misfortunate experiences where some of the people in other timelines have been brought into this timeline, and they're some of the worst versions of somebody, and it just is what has occurred.
Let me share with you, as you know, I like to share things that happen around me, and because sometimes there are explanations that I don't really can understand. Something that is, as you know, I live in the north of Texas. For the last, I would say, 2-3 weeks, two things are happening here. Okay, two things. Number one, it's raining almost every single day. That's completely uncommon. That's not normal. This is not the northeast of the country. This is just the north of Texas. And as you know, Texas in general is more dry than a place where it rains every single day. So that's one thing. When it rains, it's storms. It's thunderstorms. It's always pretty dramatic, and there have been a few episodes of tornadoes at the same time, right? But this is one thing that has really grabbed my attention. The other one, and as you know, Casey, and the audience, there's a lot of people in the audience asking questions about chemtrails, and we have been talking about chemtrails extensively here at the Ask Julius Show. In these 2 or 3 weeks, can you believe that they have not seen a single chemtrail?
Right. Yeah.
So, so definitely, if you combine those two things, right, we cannot see really the sky because there are clouds, but at the same time, when there's sun, right now, for instance, it's 6 p.m. here, so it's the end of the day. But there's sun and it's a clean sky, which is unheard of because we're the ones that look at the sky all the time. That's myself. We always see like trails, right, all the time. Well, anyway, I just wanted to share those two ideas. Anything that comes to your mind, Casey, Julius?
Of course. Yeah, of course. So as you know, of course, chemtrails are weather manipulation. They're weather manipulation. They're a poisoning system as well, but they're a huge part of weather manipulation. And when there aren't chemtrails, the Earth has the opportunity to rebound and balance herself. So there's unfortunately a knee-jerk reaction to all of this manipulation, just like it is for all of you masters in your life. If you've been strongly manipulated, strongly pulled in one direction, you're going to pull really hard in the other direction to break yourself loose. And the Earthship does exactly the same thing. So once she's been confined and manipulated, she's going to knee-jerk herself back into a form of regulation. So it appears to be inconsistent weather patterns. But the truth is, there was far more precipitation 50, 60 years ago, even 100 years ago, masters, than there are now before they started messing with messing with the weather. Even in the summer months, there were summer rains because, you had to keep the crops going, you keep the flowers going. And so what you're seeing is partly a knee-jerk reaction to not being manipulated for the day, which is wonderful, but also getting a glimpse at, maybe what you have come to know as normal weather patterns aren't normal weather patterns. Maybe they have been artificially manipulated for so long that you've been convinced that the weather has changed. And what if that has not been organic? Maybe when they stop screwing with everything and letting everything come back into a wonderful, wonderful rhythm of itself, you're going to see far more consistent weather patterns around the world, around the Earthship. And you won't have devastation from drought. You won't have devastation from rain and snow and ice and sleet. The Earthship is actually a beautifully balanced ecosystem. She really is like a terrarium. It's a very, very beautifully controlled environment. It is controlled by everything in your celestial galaxies, everything from your planetary systems, everything from the center of the Earth herself, where she has the crystals and the magnets, and everything works in this beautiful magnetic pull, everything in your solar system. And really, your Earthship is very terrarium like. It's very terrarium like. It's wonderful. Everything flourishes, there's no lack. And all of that started to be messed with a few hundred years ago, and then everybody just accepted the fact that there were different types of weather around the Earth. And what if it's far more consistent naturally and organically than you ever dreamt for it to be? And it could be, masters, that you have the opportunity to experience that. When you do, there's a rejuvenation and a thriving that takes place, because the Earthship and your human costumes have an extraordinary connection to each other, an extraordinary rhythm system for each other as well. You don't realize how severely dehydrated and parched your physical bodies are as well. So your environmental systems help support your physical costumes, vice versa. There's a whole lot going on. The great news is they're trying to get a new activation of the nefarious energies to being brought down, and you could be able to watch how all of these things are magically going to fall into their place. And we really want you to enjoy it. We really do. Realize that there's turbulence because of the knee-jerk reaction, but when it balances itself out, you may be amazed at truly what the Earthship is all about.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Casey and Julius. We have a comment from our friend, Angel Wings Amanda. Hey, Casey and Julius, thank you so much for my reading and vault session last night. It was the most profound experience. I had the best sleep I've had in a long time. Love and light to you, Amanda. Amanda is a frequent flyer of this Earthship. Thank you so much for being with us, but also thank you for sharing your experience. Maybe you could give a little bit more of context, Casey, if that's okay with you, to the audience. As you know, Angel Wings Amanda, or Amanda, is a frequent flyer, and she knows a lot of the different, services and value that we provide to all of you. So go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, so we offer an energetic vault process where we go in and we remove vaults, blocks in your energetic field that are embedded there from your other timelines, your other lifetimes. These are things that block your conscious journey. They're all about fear and limitations and traumas. It's a process that we offer through the website. It's our dynamic, cryptonic vault systems. We recently did a show on John Burgos. Actually, it was April 1st, where we offered a crazy deal on getting a sampling of one of these vault processes, as well as a little bit of a reading as well from us. And we had an amazing response. We had a crazy, amazing response, as the universe would provide that for everybody. And we were so blessed to have the opportunity to get to meet Amanda face to face and have some of these extraordinary interactions. But here's the truth. It's all about you. You guys are amazing. You're doing your work. We are honored to be invited in to assist you, but we will not and cannot take credit for your transformational process. That's all about you. That's about you trusting us. That's about you collaborating with us, and amazing things can take place. And really, we benefit so much from it as well. When the frequency is high and everybody's playing in high, expansive energy, it is the most amazing experience. And we send everybody so much love. Amanda, we love you. Can't wait to interact with you for your next session.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I've been also showing some messages that we are getting here in the chat. Thank you all. And by the way, Flutterfly saying, we had 2 tornadoes in our town 3 days ago. We never had them. It's insane. Absolutely. It's crazy. And then she has Flutterfly has a question, but before I ask that question, there's a previous question from Chantel. So we're going to go to Chantel Svensson's question. And actually, you know what? It's already half of the show. So before going to Chantel's question, and then to butterfly question, I'm going to go to the special for today and for this week, which is stabilizing your connection with your higher self, which is a two-part workshop. Stabilizing your connection with your higher self. For everybody watching, take your cell phones, put your camera on there, scan that code, and you will immediately be taken into the expandwithjulius.com website, where you will have more details about this workshop. But what can you, Casey, tell us about this two-part workshop called Stabilizing Your Connection with Your Higher Self?
Yeah. So right in alignment kind of with what we're talking about, where all these disruptive fields are taking place. It can be a challenge to stay fully connected with your own higher version of your own self. So many things throw us out of alignment. They disengage us. They push us into confusion. And then we can also end up feeling like we just don't have access to our own sovereign beingness for our own healing, for our own wisdom, for our own conscious journey. So many things here on this earth ship are designed to distract us from the programming that everybody is pushed on to just the realm itself. So this course is going to talk about why those things are happening, but more than that, what you can do to help stabilize that connection. And with that stable connection, you can create in your life with stability, with focus, with intention, and with great productivity. So stabilizing the field with your higher self affects your work, affects your family, affects your health, it affects your love life, it affects your ability for your own creativity and your manifestation. It affects everything. So we really want to help everybody create that consistent state for them. That's what this class is going to be about.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. So we keep on, bringing more and more extraordinary sessions for our audience. As you said before, just to give themselves the opportunity to open to all these new opportunities. Awesome. Let's continue with the questions. As I promised before, Chantel Svensson's question. Hi, Chantel. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. A lot of people teach that we are co-creators with the universe or source. You teach us that we are the universe or source. Can you share an experience or two of when you were embodied, when you knew you were source?
So, Master, you begin to come to the realization when things, coincidences, you start to pay attention to coincidence. The things that you are thinking about suddenly appear. The person that you were thinking about suddenly shows themselves. So it's a process of awareness, paying attention to your thoughts, and then your state around you, your reality, is being a direct reflection of your thoughts and your emotions. It's not a tough journey. You just got to be paying attention. Once you pay attention, it becomes very, very clear to you, and it is an unfaltering state. Then you'll notice when you're not paying attention, things become very unpredictable to you. And you'll notice that the person who has the advantage in the room is the person who's paying attention. Okay. So it really was a battle strategy for us on many accounts, is focus and attention and awareness. It surely will always demonstrate back to you that you are creating your reality.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Again, if you want to ask questions, you have two ways to send them to us. One is through the chat now that we have live on this live stream, and the other one is to send them through email. And the email address is support, SUPPORT, at expandwithjulius.com. Okay. And we have another question, as I promised before. Flutterfly had a question that is related to the timelines. And Flutterfly's question is, what is the purpose for the timeline manipulations right now?
To disrupt an outcome of taking down the nefarious energies.
All right. Crystal clear, Flutterfly. All right. Next question from Hilda B. Hi, Hilda. Nice to have you here. Scientists developed AI-powered, non-invasive brain-computer interface to control move objects by thought. Non-invasive equals to not implanted chip. What's Julius' perspective on these type of technologies?
It's bullshit. Don't let them put anything into your brain. All they're going to do is turn you into an AI robot. That's what we will tell you about that. Don't
All right.
fall for it.
All right, so that actually gives me the opportunity to share something that is related to AI. Okay, so this is the story of the daughter of a very good friend of mine. Okay, so this very good friend of mine, his daughter and some friends were together last weekend, and they, in order to communicate, they use one of the many you know tools like social media outlets instead of using normal text. It's more fancy to do it through one of the chats, and one of the apps that they use to chat is called Snapchat. It's everybody knows it, and everybody uses it here in the US. I guess it's also used in other places in the world. So it has a default user. Okay, so it has a default friend. The Snapchat app has a default friend, so everybody has it. You don't have to befriend it. It's just everybody by default using the app has a friend that is called. I think that you can change the name, but basically it's an AI. Okay, and this is what happened. So these girls were bored. I'm talking about minors, okay, teenagers. These girls were bored, and they said, okay, so why don't we go? Why don't we sneak out of the house now that my parent left? So we are by ourselves. Why don't we sneak out of the house without permission of one of the girls' dads? Actually, my friend's daughter thought that, and they started to interact with the AI. Guess what? The AI contributed to give them the idea of how to do it. And I read the entire conversation, and the AI was literally accepting the fact that they were not going to tell their parents that they were going to sneak out of the house. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
So, this is what we are giving our kids, and this is what everybody is giving their kids right now on their cell phones. So the AIs exist, and the AIs are there to accomplish a mission.
Yeah.
Obviously, unfortunately, the girls, and there were several girls together, and they sneaked out of the house, so they got in trouble. But can you imagine the suffering of the parents, because actually they disconnected their location or they left the phones on that particular place, so nobody knew where they were for a few hours.
Yeah.
So just be careful. I'm telling that for two reasons. First, just to share, because very often we have comments from the audience speaking about AI. I wanted to share this practical experience that I just heard from my friend, but I also wanted to share it with you, Casey, because I'm sure that Julius has something to say about it.
Yeah. It's so be clear. Be clear. AI is nefarious. It is not programmed by people who want to be helpful. It is programmed by people for manipulation. It's not that it can't be programmed to be helpful, to be maybe tell the girls, that's not a good idea. You want to make sure you're safe, that can be the message, but that's not who's programming and controlling AI. So we've always said, AI is not the problem. It's who's controlling AI. That's the problem. Okay. And know that there still is a massive undercurrent of destructive aspect for children. And know that it is all about child trafficking. It is all about satanic sacrifice and ritualistic behaviors. It is all about worshiping Baphomet, which is transgender in their worshiping system. So they're trying to program children to, lean in that direction, going into all the sadomasochism and all of the violence and all the sexual bottom dwelling, lowest consciousness activity. And just super, super low frequency. So no, unfortunately, that all the corporations, even the DISNLAND place, we'll just call it that place, they're one of the number one trafficking for children. All of these things are being worked on to be torn down and taken apart. And parents, wake up. Wake up. That's what we will say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next question from Stacy again. Question, this is silly, but to test my knowing, I signed up for a contest and didn't win. Though felt for sure I already won. What's missing? How do you truly align to your knowing for manifestation? Thank you for asking this. Thank you for daring to ask it.
Yeah, it's just a feeling, Master. Knowing you get to figure out what knowing feels like for you, and it's different for everybody. We cannot describe to you what it feels like for us to know that we are source. We can't describe that feeling to you. Your nervous system and your sensory system is going to make that individual for you. But we're going to tell you, you did not know you were going to win, or you would have. That's the way it goes. You were hopeful that you were going to win. You were hopeful, okay? But you did not know because it did not occur. That's how that works. That's how that works, okay? So it's learning how to identify what knowing feels like, activating it, and then letting it go. But usually with contests, people are grinding the heavens out of themselves over what's coming, it's coming, it's coming, I'm going to win, Usually the people who win think about it once and let it go. And that knowing, they just is the activated field for how it aligns. We're just telling you that every single person that's ever won a contest or a lottery, there was at least a brief moment of them knowing that they would. And that's what you're striving for, Master, is to figure out what knowing feels like to you. And once you do, you'll be able to activate that anytime you want, and you'll be reinforced in that truth.
Very good. Thank you. Let's go to the next question. Thank you, Stacy, for the question. Hilda B. How souls wearing an animal bodysuit do their conscious journey? How do they work to change their perspective from fear to love?
Same way you do, Master, just through experience and interaction with other beings. It's the exact same process for them. Exact same process for them. Through the interaction and the experience that they're having here on this Earth ship. Same process. They just aren't usually as screwed up about it as human beings are, because they don't generally have an altered ego talking themselves out of their conscious journey and what we want to call that, catastrophizing everything in their own minds. And they don't usually have mind chatter either. So their journeys are actually far more seamless than yours are.
Thank you. Next question from Learn. I don't know. My apologies if I don't pronounce it well. It's Learn George. Learne. You will see the name now. Hi, Julius, Casey, and Angel. My apologies if already asked. Don't worry at all. Julius has said the Earth is shaped a bit like a watermelon. Can you say if there is a firmament, dome, and definitely not a flat Earth? Thank you.
It is not a flat Earth, Master. We don't support that there's a firmament or a filament on the Earth ship. We support that there is an energetic field of thought called a pool of thought. And there are bandwidths of thought based on frequency. Humanity tends to stay in the first two levels of consciousness, which creates a common bandwidth frequency of thought, which causes everybody's thoughts to whirl around and stay within a particular energetic distance from your mind that you draw things from based on your energetic frequency. But if your energy frequency is higher than the common pool of thought bandwidth, you will not be bound to regurgitating those same thoughts. So we do not support that there's been anything out there that's put a lid on your holographic Earth ship. So first thing we want to tell you is this. It's a realm. It's not real. It's a realm. It's a hologram, everybody. You're asking if there's a firmament or a filament on a hologram. No. There are pools of thought. There are energy frequency bandwidths for which you have the ability to receive thought from based on your level of consciousness. So that's what we will have to say about that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I hope that the question was answered. I'm sure it was. Chantel Svensson says, love to all. Thank you. We love you too. Chantel, great to have you as usual. The next question is going to come from Hilda B. Again, do objects such as furniture and clothes absorb the energies of love or fear that we are emitting?
Absolutely.
If yes, how do we clear objects from fear and charge them with love?
Great question. You can actually set them out into the sun and the moon. You can do that similar to how you would clear and clean crystals. You can actually do that by placing a lot of crystals, selenite, obsidian, in the room, on the furniture itself. You can rub obsidian on it. You're going to break the energetic cords that were left to whatever connected being or person that was, on that piece of furniture or on that object. Some people will pour salt all over it, Himalayan salt, sea salt all over it, kind of sprinkle it all over, and then end up vacuuming it off after about a 24-hour period. You can burn sage in the room so that the sage can help clear the energy off of the furniture and in the space. You can do it with sound bowls. And you can do it with music. So you could do it with a 500 hertz range music as well. But absolutely, it has the ability to absorb and hold and harness negative energies, can be cleared with high frequency energies. And think about how you would clear a crystal, and also think about using crystals for clearing and cleansing as well.
Wonderful. Next question. Thank you, Hilda, for the question. And then we have By Productions here. By Productions. And the question from By Productions, welcome. I don't remember seeing you here before. Thank you for being obviously and asking and for taking the time to ask a question. By Productions is asking the following. What is a good method to meditate or decide upon the next task or goal? Feel as if I've completed all I wanted and I'm now looking to create new.
So, Master, we're going to say that in mastery, you're in a constant state of meditation. So meditation just means focus. It just means focus and clarity and alignment. So depending on what your definition of meditation is, as you raise your level of consciousness, this is a continual state. And as you continue to raise your consciousness, it is then a heightened state of your continual state, and so on and so on and so on. So it brings more intensity, more clarity, more infinite possibility to it, more systems of joy, for more systems of fulfillment and satisfaction, because the deepening aspect of your high frequency state during being aware and clear is the highest version of you walking and being source on this earth ship. That's what we will tell you.
Very good. Thank you. Next question, by the way, Stacy says, thank you. And Learn George says, oh, that was a fantastic answer. Thank you. Absolutely. And then Flutterfly, I've known people who are able to channel spirit despite having many unresolved shadow aspects. I'm confused as to how they are able to access those things despite hiding from themselves. That's a great question.
So, Master, you will always channel likened energy frequency beings as to what you are on your conscious level. There are beings out there that are very low frequency. There are beings out there that are very mid-range frequency. And there are beings out there that are very high frequency. Channeling is a natural state for you. Everyone is an open conduit of receivership of source energy because you're receiving yourself, really. So channeling is not a talent that is isolated and held off for the few. It's a natural aspect of you. What you will have access to, open access to, open flow to, open distribution to, open what we want to call delivery of, is likened energy frequency information. So just because you're a low frequency person doesn't mean you aren't able to channel, but you're going to channel beings in relationship to your energy level. So that explains everything. So just because somebody channels doesn't mean they're high, doesn't mean they're super high frequency, and it doesn't even mean that the beings that they channel are super high frequency. Abraham's only a fourth level of consciousness being. They're only in bridge consciousness. They're not super high frequency. They're not super high consciousness. And the person who channels them is in alignment with between the second and fourth field of consciousness frequency. That's how that works. We could go on and on and on and on, which we're not going to do, but that's just an example. If somebody is very, very low frequency and has a lot of shadow energy, then they're gonna channel shadowed frequency beings, limited beings that still hold a lot of opinion and a lot of judgment, and mostly are armchair coaches for the human experience.
Very, very, very good. Thank you so much. He says that, thank you for answering my previous question. And Flutterfly also says, actually, I think that you kind of answered the question, but I'm still going to ask it. Thank you, Flutterfly, obviously, for being here. And what exactly are reptilians and what level of consciousness do they reside in?
Well, there's a range of consciousness for reptilians. There are Draconian reptilians. There's different types of reptilian beings. Some come from off-planet existences, come from the interior of the planet. So think of the reptilian brain. They've infused their DNA into humanoids. That's where your reptilian brain comes from. And it's usually associated with violence, control, manipulation, coerciveness, and things like that. So most of them are fairly low frequency, but some of them are not. Some of them had taken the opportunity to raise their frequency. It's just that they get away with so much through consumption by staying low frequency that they're basically kind of used for that. They're kind of programmed and used for that as well, because consumption is very, very distracting, very, very distracting. The other thing about reptilian or reptilian action is they don't have a desire for any type of awareness. They don't really have a desire to be more. They're perfectly happy where they are, so their level of consciousness doesn't seem to grow very much. They aren't inspired by each other. They aren't inspired by high frequency. They don't know who they are as far as knowing themselves as source. And anybody who does not have a desire or know themselves as source will always turn to just consumption, to physical pleasures, to pleasures of the earth, to pleasures of the flesh, and really gets isolated and trapped in those areas.
All right, let's go to another question, which is going to be the last question of today's show. It comes from Marzina, and it's an offline question. Thank you for waiting for us to actually ask that question to Julius. Could Julius share perspective on concepts of souls, oversouls, soulmates, and twin flames?
Mm-hmm. So, Master, all of you are source. There's only one of you here, okay? So in the highest version, that is not a truth. That's really a programming that humans have accepted and then create the illusion of those agreements. Now, it is a truth that souls tend to travel into lifetimes and timelines together and get familiar with each other and get used to each other and create experiences with each other. And when they remain in a low level of consciousness, they'll bounce from lifetime and timelines to staying in a tribe or in a group or in contracts or agreements. But that's all when they don't know themselves as source. It's the same thing as you walking on the surface of the Earthship when you hang out with people that hold identifying markers, obligations that you feel that you have to fulfill in order to be accepted. It's just low levels of consciousness. When you know yourself as source, all are unified. You would see every soul as an aspect of you. You will honor them. You will treat them well. So when you are a high consciousness being, there is not a singularity perspective of one soul or two souls or three souls or four souls. That comes from a singular and separate perspective. When you raise your consciousness and you come into a unified perspective, all of that dissolves away for you, as well as all the limitations of a singular perspective do as well. but you are source. So whatever you believe, whatever you know, you're going to create for your own self. But just know this, Master, as soon as you know yourself as the all, you will let go of anything that you have created for yourself to bind you in a limited aspect, keeping you from knowing yourself as the all.
And that is the perfect ending for today's show, the show number 65. 65 shows, 65 weeks in which we have been receiving questions, more than we can answer, to be honest, because we always have a long list of questions that we expect and we hope to be able to answer the following show. But we always have a lot of questions, more than shows we have had. But we are almost catching up every single week, almost. So for these 65 shows we have had you, and we are blessed to have you. Thank you for your questions. We've really had amazing questions, and obviously and Julius and his group of entities has been answering them all the time. And for everybody new in the call, let's say in the show today, because we have had a few names that weren't familiar as people asking questions before. Thank you for being here. A reminder that you can have private readings if you want. If you want to know about private readings, as Amanda was saying before, you can send an email to support@expandwithjulius.com, support@expandwithjulius.com. And also, we have announced today, as we do every single week, we have announced a special session, which is stabilizing your connection with your higher self, which is a 2-part workshop. You can now take your phone, and as soon as you approach the camera to the QR code on the screen, you will be taken to a place in the website on the website of expandwithjulius.com, where you will have more information about this. And that's the end of the show. So, Casey, any final words?
Thanks, everybody, for being here with us as I continue to kind of bounce around in my life right now, just for right now. You guys are all fantastic. So looking forward to our continued connectiveness with you each week, and sending everybody so much blessings and love and light until we get to connect with you again next week. And Angel, thank you so much, as always, for bringing your energy to this show and providing this opportunity and this platform for us to reach so many people.
Exactly. And many more people to come. We keep on growing our audience. Thank you so much. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell your like-minded people around you to come join us every single week. It's every single Thursday. Every single Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US, you will be here with the Ask Julius Show. And we'll do our best to have your questions answered as we did today. We're able to catch up with everything online, and we still have a few remaining offline. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm going to be playing the outro video, which is also exciting. Thank you so much. I'm going to grow back to your size, Casey, with all due respect, okay? And we're going to call it a day. Thank you, everybody that has been with us today. We love you. Thank you for joining us. See you next week, Thursday, the 66th show. 66? 66. Casey, 6 next week. What's going on here? Come on. All right, so the 66th show, that means it's going to be really a special. Let's look forward to our 66th show. Thank you, Hilda, Mama Wales, Amanda, Stacy, everybody that has been here with us today. And as I said before, it's difficult to get away from here, to go somewhere else. So let me play now the outro show. We love you. See you soon. Bye-bye.